Total 7 terrorists were gunned down after hours of gun battle in Poonch, Kupwara and Bandipora districts of Jammu and Kashmir. Major infiltration bids were foiled by the security forces. Early morning, one police constable was martyred and 6 others were injured, including 2 army men and 2 civilians who were injured as 2 groups of armed terrorists attacked the Poonch town.
Major infiltration bids foiled in Jammu and Kashmir, first in Poonch district, then in North Kashmir's Kupwara and Bandipora. Early morning, Lashkar terrorists sneaked from across the line of control into Poonch town. Spotted by the state police, the terrorists opened, killing 1 constable, leaving 6 others injured. 2 groups of terrorists then holed up in a civilian's house and the mini secretariat. After heavy exchange of fire, 3 Lashkar terrorists were finally gunned down. More infiltration bids were foiled in Navgam sector of Kupwara and Gurez in Bandipora district. A total of 4 Pakistani terrorists were killed after fierce gun battle. Amid the infiltration bids, unrest continued in Kashmir Valley. Over 80 people were injured in the protests and clashes between civilians and the security forces. The death toll mounted to 80 after a civilian succumbed to his injuries. In Delhi, Home Minister Rajnath Singh reviewed the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir, with NSA officials also present in the meeting.
It has proven out to be a bloody Sunday in Kashmir, while there are constant reports of protests and clashes coming from across the valley, and the number of civilians dying in these clashes also constantly mounting. There were 3 gun battles on the line of control between suspected infiltrators and the army. Clearly, there seems to be no letdown in the violence in Kashmir this summer. With cameraman Roof, Shujaul Haq in Srinagar for India Today.
Terror strikes and encounters in Jammu and Kashmir. Protests and clashes continue in the valley. At least 80 people, including 20 CRPF personnel, were injured today. More than 24 stone pelting incidents were reported in Pulwama, Kulgam and Budgam areas. Death toll in the clashes mounted to 80, with 1 more civilian succumbing to injuries. 4 days in curfew in the valley. Armed forces were deployed in Pulwama, Shopian, Kulgam and Anantnag districts. Home Minister Rajnath Singh today held a high-level meeting over the security situation. Joining me now for a discussion on the prevailing situation in Jammu and Kashmir are my 2 guests. Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad, he's a defense expert here in India, and also joining us from across the border in Pakistan, Sultan Hali, defense expert, who is joining us over Skype to discuss the situation. Let me first come to you, Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad. The army, of course, now what we are hearing is being deployed in 4 districts after a gap of almost 2 years in areas which previously were considered militant-free, terrorist-free. How do you see this deployment and development as far as the Kashmir Valley is concerned, sir?
See, if you look at the present situation, there are 3 distinct parts to this problem. One is to maintain law and order in Kashmir Valley, which has been on the boil for the last nearly 2 months. The second issue is to ensure that the infiltration is prevented, if not completely stopped. That's the second issue. And the third issue is to handle Pakistan, who is consistently boiling insurgency into Kashmir, sending terrorists across, sending money across, doing inflammatory speeches, and overall a very belligerent attitude towards India.
Yes.
So when you look at these 3 problems as independent problems, you will find that the first problem which I stated was about bringing law and order. Therefore, wherever the army was not present, the 4 districts where the army has now been deployed, and you also heard or read about the Chief of the Army Staff visiting Kashmir yesterday. This grid is being re-established to ensure that the law and order is maintained, even if you need the military to do it. The second portion which the Chief of the Army Staff mentioned yesterday in his visit was to see that the line of control is become more impregnable, and the forces there are redeployed to ensure that infiltration stops. And the third portion, which I said about handling Pakistan, is what you see diplomatically that's going on.
Yes.
You heard the Prime Minister speak at the G20, you heard the Prime Minister speak at the BRICS, you heard the ASEAN, you are now hearing the Home Minister visiting Russia, visiting America, and all the other diplomatic activities that is taking place. So the overall approach, which is now visible to all of us, is really three-pronged issues, each of them distinctly being handled to make.
Before General Prasad, I go to our guest from Pakistan, I quickly wanted to understand also from you, do you also see somehow that, the bringing in the army after a period of time is somewhere some sort of an admission, a tacit admission of from India that possibly we are losing some sort of a ground in Kashmir, and that is why the army needs to be called in, at least to ensure that the writ of the state is completely enforced as far as the Kashmir Valley is concerned?
Yes, absolutely correct. You see, this whole thing is so politically motivated. It's so kind of difficult to understand. And the one stage, even at this point in time, the political leadership in certain quarters say, remove the Armed Forces Special Power Act. There is peace here. Remove the army from here. Let the army not be here. Now, this is what exactly the army has been saying for years. You remove the army establishes a grid, you remove it, and then again infiltrate and unlawful activities begin to take place.
Yes.
Now you reinduct the army.
Yes.
Now it is not so easy. When you reinduct the army has got to re-establish itself. It's got to re-establish its intelligence network. It has got to re-establish its camps. It's got to and in the meantime units have changed. So there is such a lot of turmoil.
Absolutely.
It is not that the army is like a computer. You put in a plug and say click and there it goes. It has got to readjust itself. Therefore, it has been said for many years, and I have said so myself on various channels, including yours, that you should only remove the army from areas where you're so certain that the situation is 100% under control. Obviously, the last 2 months have displayed
that
the situation where the army was not present, the 4 districts that you're talking about, needs the army back. And the army has therefore gone back again and resettled there.
Let me now also bring in our guest from Pakistan, Mr. Hali. The whole feeling, and of course, India says that it has massive evidence to prove that the entire situation in Jammu and Kashmir is being fanned from across the border. Taking an example today, apart from the incidents of stone pelting and the separatists still speaking or towing the line of ISI agents back from Pakistan, there have been 4 infiltration attempts today itself. There are 3 encounters that took place. 4 terrorists have been gunned down. People those who were trying to cross the border from Pakistan. Don't you see this as some sort as a clear indication of provocation from the other side? They are not letting the situation calm down as far as India, Jammu and Kashmir is concerned.
Well, thank you very much for having me on your program, and I also heard the august views of our other participant, and it's you see, extremely important to get to the bottom of it. Now, it's very fine for you to say that you have ample evidence, but look at the picture from our point of view. We here in Pakistan feel that at the state level, we are neither making any provocative speeches or supporting anyone. Yes, if there are non-state actors who are indulging in this, I cannot rule that out. But you see, there are diplomatic channels available. There are other means in which we can sit down and talk and sort out these problems. As neighbors, how long? I mean, it's been more than 7 decades since we got our freedom. Let us like gentlemen sit down and talk and sort it out, rather than hurl blames at each other.
Mr. Hali, it sounds absolutely wonderful when you say that, as neighbors we should sit down and sort these things out. But even though when the Chief of Army Staff in Pakistan, Mr. Rohith Sharif, when he speaks about giving moral support to the freedom struggle in Jammu and Kashmir, on the other side, it's not a moral or diplomatic support. Active Pakistani elements are being pushed inside our border, those who are creating problems as far as India is concerned. There are terrorists, those who are, as of now, as we speak, there is an encounter going on in the Poonch region of people, those who have come from the line of control. So apart from saying all these things, when will Pakistan walk the talk?
Okay, fine. It's a very ideal situation when you question it. But the thing is,
can I just answer him? If
So I'll just come to you. Let Mr. Hali just respond to that. I'll just come to you after that.
may I just? Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Hali, go on, sir. Go on.
Yeah. You see, you are saying that you have evidence that the Pakistan Army or God forbid the ISI is sponsoring these. From our point of view, we don't believe it. But okay, if you have any evidence or if you even have doubts about it, the best way is to...
Bahadur Ali is a LET terrorist we have caught alive, sir, in Jammu and Kashmir after an operation here. He talks about where he comes from. There is no doubt that the 2611 attackers came from across the border in Pakistan. All their families, the people that they belong to and the places that they belong to have been well documented. It is not only Indian agencies but the agencies internationally that have in fact conferred that these people did come from Pakistan. Just by saying that we don't believe it is not a solution. When you speak about, when you start the conversation saying that talks should be, be the solution, but on the other side completely deny that terrorists are being pushed inside India by Pakistan, possibly that's the bottleneck. Let me bring in, General Chaudhary on this, sir. It's all, good to hear these things that talks should be the way forward, but the problem is the denial of Pakistan. Time and again, they keep saying that we want to speak, but they do not curtail on the anti-India elements, not only, like people like Hafiz Saeed, but actively push terrorists inside our territory.
I presume you mean General Shankar Prasad, not Chaudhary.
Yes,
anyway,
sir. Sorry.
The question, and I completely agree with my Pakistani friend, that talks and dialogue is the answer. The talks and dialogue is the answer. Yes, indeed it is. For the last 1 year, our government has been consistently telling the Pakistan government that the problem today is terrorism, that the problem today is insurgency in Kashmir. Let us sit and talk terror. We have said so last year, early this year, middle of this year, every month. Even as recently as a couple of weeks ago, we have once again stated very clearly that let us talk terror, let us talk insurgency. Yes, the talk is the only answer. But every time we talk about terror or insurgency, Pakistan government says, no, we want to talk about Kashmir. What is there to talk about Kashmir? Yes, Kashmir, if you think is a problem, we can deal with it. The current issue is lawlessness in Kashmir being fomented by Pakistan and the elements of Pakistan. The second point my friend raised was about non-state actors. Yes, he is also right. Non-state actors who are passing these comments from Pakistan, these inflammatory speeches, people into us, inducting money in our country, misleading our young people, are all people who are sitting in Pakistan right under the nose of the Pakistan ISI and the Pakistan Army.
Yes.
If the government of Pakistan and the military and the ISI wish to resolve this problem, can't these people be reined? The Salauddins, the Lakhvis, the Hafiz Saids, and then the bulk of these guys, all of these are available next door.
Let me take that to Mr. Hali, sir. Let me take that to Mr. Hali. Mr. Hali, it's a very valid point that Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad is making. You're talking about non-state actors. Given that, there are non-state actors, why can't the Pakistani state, the army, the ISI rein in on these non-state actors? There could be only two conclusions that can be drawn from it. Either you are complicit with them or the army and the establishment is incompetent to rein in on them.
Okay, you see, the problem is that it takes two to tango. The characters you have named and the deeds that they have committed they are not isolated. We have problems also from the other side. People like Kulbhushan Yadav over here, or Lieutenant Colonel Prasad Rohith, who was responsible for the carnage on Samjhota Express and so on.
So that's what the problem is. Every time there is a question raised, the only answer is that, listen, you are doing this on our side. The American, the US Secretary of State, Mr. John Kerry, he said that there cannot be any distinction between good terrorists and bad terrorists. You have to rein in on the LET and other terrorists, those who are operating from Pakistan. Why can't we see some action on that side as a confidence building measure so that both the sides can be comfortable speaking to each other?
Allow me to ask you, do you deny the fact that Pakistan itself is a very serious victim of the acts of terror? I mean, it has lost 60,000 people. So that is why it is very important that Pakistan would also, I mean, I agree with the General, we should sit down and talk about terror. But the thing is that it should be with an open mind. Let us not get into the blame game that you did this to us, or we say that you did that to us. Instead, let's see how we can tackle this problem together, because we need to, resolve this issue, and we can do it together if we have the will to do so.
Okay, General Shankar Prasad, this is what the problem is. Of course, both the sides, well-meaning people from both the sides would want talks to go on, but the problem is that there is no concrete action on the side of the Pakistanis as far as the terrorists are concerned. When they talk about them suffering from terrorism, we understand that, but that doesn't mean they can unleash these terrorists onto our side also.
No, I completely agree with my Pakistan friend today, and I'm sorry, I cannot disagree with him. Let us talk of all terror. The government of India is repeatedly saying, let us talk terror. You have some problems about our people, please come and bring them to the table. We have some problem with your people, please bring them to the table. Let us talk terror. Let us resolve this issue about terrorism. We have got evidence to say A, B, C, D people. You have evidence to say about us. Let's exchange that evidence. The delegation from Pakistan was supposed to come to India and meet our NSA. And last minute, a couple of hours before the visit, they cancelled it because they realized they have nothing much to show, whereas we have abundant information to give them. Now, I am completely in agreement with my Pakistani friend. Let us talk terror. Let us talk terror of what India may be doing in Pakistan or what Pakistan may be doing in India. Yes, but why are we deviating from this terror? Terror is what is hitting both countries.
Absolutely.
Terror has hit Pakistan as badly as it is hitting India. I agree with him completely. 60,000 or more people are getting killed in Pakistan because of terrorism, which they have themselves permitted to grow right under their nose.
That is exactly what the problem is. It has been documented how Pakistan has used it as a state policy. On one side, they are fighting terrorists like Pakistan, Taliban, that one point of time were only propped by them. On the other hand, they do not distinguish between Lashkar-e-Taiba, push such elements to inside India to create problems in Kashmir. The only fact that we have agreed upon today is that we need to speak about terrorism. Both the sides need to sit down and speak about terrorism, free from Kashmir, free from other issues, because both the nations as of now are suffering from this menace. Thank you so much, both my guests, for joining us here on India Today for this discussion. Stay tuned. News and updates will continue after a short break.